Hello everyone, welcome back. Friends, as we said, we are going to today discuss on an important factor of soil pollution. Okay? And when we are talking something about soil pollution, it can be also asked to you in a question form as what do you mean by land pollution. So do not get confused when someone asks to you question with regards to soil pollution or land pollution. It is one on the same only. And today we are trying and going to discuss on the topic of what is meant by soil pollution. So as we have been said that we are first of all looking forward for the idea of understanding soil pollution by giving it maybe a simple definition type or maybe understanding some of the scientific words which are related to our pollutant. The second important thing which we are going to try and discuss is causes of the soil pollution. Next one is effects of soil pollution and preventive measures of soil pollution. So let's understand what do you mean by soil pollution itself. Now one might very clearly understand with the idea that when I say what do you mean by soil pollution, one can easily give me a definition or an idea that it is very simple that the pollutant are created maybe by nature or maybe by human like we have discussed in our earlier part, and this are being then directly added to the soil. Okay, so that will be called as in soil pollution. Completely agreed. But you have to move forward while thinking of these soil pollution types because it is not that simple process that some pollutants are created maybe caused by human. Let's say give an example of human, and these human created pollutant and then only added to the environment of land. It is not that simple because we are not calling it as simple. Reason is because of course the pollutant which are created will of course be having a problem with regards to the chemical involvement. These chemical involvement are nothing else but it is a products which are hazardous. These products are hazardous for a simple reason because they are maybe insoluble. Secondly, maybe they are hydrocarbons, maybe they are some of the kind of product which will directly get involved into the complete cycle system of the land, that is plant which are taking in the food, which are taking in the material, which are taking in the proteins, minerals, water, etc. Henceforth, we are saying that when we are talking about inclusion of the pollutant into the land, it is not that simple method that you are only dumping it something on a land and the pollution is created. You have to go deep inside and understand what do you mean by the pollutant which are included in this system. And this system of inclusion of the pollutant, that means the degradation of the land. Okay, because we have given the definition itself when we are talking something about the pollutant as it is a degraded potential material which is included into the systems, and same goes over here also, that is the land is being degraded because maybe we are overusing it or maybe we are over adding the material into our land source, and henceforth the capability of the land, that means the fertility of the land or the purity of the land, is completely lost now. This is caused by addition of a product called as xenobiotic substances. So you have to keep in this term very clearly in your mind, that is called as xenobiotic substances. Now let's understand what do you mean by a xenobiotic substances. Okay. Like I said that pollutant are created in two forms. One is a natural form and the second one is a human made form or anthropogenic form. Now when a chemical substance found in an organism, okay, keep in mind these particular term very much clearly with the definition. You can just mugify it also but try to understand it. When a chemical substance is found in an organism that is not natural produced or expected to be present in an organism, of course then it will be added by the human because of the human, and it is called as a xenobiotic substance. I'll try to give you an example so it becomes easy for you people to understand. Try and understand that you are doing a crop. That means you are doing agriculture and you are trying to create a good food product. But of course, when you are trying to give some kind of good food product or maybe grain, you use some kind of fertilizers, pesticides, like we have discussed in our earlier part also. When we are using this fertilizer or pesticides, each and every fertilizer is not natural fertilizer. It is some kind of processed fertilizers. Henceforth, we are always being told that use natural fertilizers like maybe cow dung fertilizer or maybe earthworm fertilizer. But we probably, what we do, we use industrialized culture fertilizers, and these fertilizers are having chemicals in it. So maybe these chemicals are petroleum chemicals, so that the plant easily take in the fertilizer. That is the reason they are adding like hydrocarbons, or maybe they are adding petroleum products, so that it gets easily evaporated and easily adjust into the system. But what will happen if you spray these fertilizers into the soil or on the plant? It will at a time give you that particular kind of grain material. But think about the plant which is then turning on it. The plant system will absorb these hydrocarbons, and these hydrocarbons or pesticides will then be affecting on the system of the plant. That means a complete genetic change will take place, and of course the food grain will be taken in by the organism, that is human or any other organism. It will indirectly enter into the human system also, and it will change the genetic material. Henceforth, I told you that we people are suffering from different kind of problems. Like many people are having the problem of skin, some other are having a problem of hair, eyes, maybe we are lagging with some kind of systems like immune systems. We have a very low immune system, and of course it is one of the major problem because of the pollutant, and these pollutant which are not natural to the human organism will be called as a xenobiotic. So xeno itself means external addition of the system, or external addition of the substance into an organism. Okay, so this can be either in a natural soil, so it will completely alter the natural soil. Like I said, the addition of the industrial products into the land soil, it will create a complete changeover of the groundwater, and of course it will be somewhere or at some part will be taken in by the organisms, maybe human or any other animal system. This system of inclusion of pollutant, that is xenobiotic substances, either by industrial activity or maybe agricultural activity, will only create an improper waste material. That means you cannot dispose it, that because it is one of the reason why the chemicals present in these systems, that means the pollutant which are called xenobiotic substances, harmful substances, are having a high intensity or high chemical structure, that is called as maybe petroleum products or hydrocarbons or maybe polynuclear products, which are complex in structure, and it becomes hard for any organism to break it down, and hence they cause a kind of system called as pollution. So these pollutants are basically a contamination at a primary stage. Okay, that means somewhere we are adding a fertilizer, or we are adding a chemical on a plant, and that is a primary stage where we think it's okay to add at this primary stage, that it will never cause and that have hazard to an health. But it is completely wrong. Reason is because it indirectly, or because it is a food cycle. If you remember, we have discussed something about the food cycle. So of course the energy have to be passed from one organism to another organism, and this passing of the energy, then it will cause a secondary contamination. So this goes on. That means from one state to another state, from one organism to another organism, this cycle will continuously go on, and it will cause a contamination at different stages. Okay, and henceforth soil mapping, it is one of the process where you can map what amount of contamination, what kind of contamination is there in the soil, so that you can at least give out some measures, maybe to clean up the soil, maybe to clean up that part of at least a soil. Not complete soil cannot be cleaned at one time, but at least a part of soil can be cleaned out. So that is called as soil mapping. So always keep in mind that even though you're adding some kind of pollutant to a soil, a particular land area, maybe I'll call it a single land area, it will directly affect the complete ecosystem, because we are following the food chain. A food chain or a food web is very important to maintain the system of environment. Okay. So soil mapping is one of the important criteria, and this important criteria, that means the study of these soil mapping to understand the soil or types of pollutant included in this soil, is basically a study of geology. So we try to study the chemistry or maybe hydrology and geology. That means we try to understand soil by undergoing some kind of chemistry or chemical systems, and this is basically done more in industrial parts, okay, because industries are releasing out more amount of chemical substances into the land pollutant directly or indirectly. Many countries, for example the North America or Western Europe, have made it as a rule, so that if you want to go for that particular form of pollutant to be released out into the environment, it is being first of all needed to be tested. If you do not do this testing, then legal action will be taken. So these countries are very much like giving priority to understand the land and to develop such a kind of sense in human, so that land will not be hampered anymore. So that is called as an system of understanding of land pollution and called as soil mapping. So for example, this system like GIS system, okay, this system is one of the system of understanding the soil contamination or environmental contamination, which is being used by the countries like North America and Western Europe. Let's understand what do you mean or what is the causes of soil pollution. So as I said, when we are talking something about one kind of pollution, it is a long list and we cannot discuss everything at one point. And also I would like to say that we had discussed maybe some points at an earlier stage, or maybe we'll be discussing some points at a later stage, okay. So do not get confused, only you have to keep in mind that we are going to discuss each and every point at some or the other stage. For example, if you remember that acid rain is being discussed, so I will not be explaining this point right now, but let's start of understanding how the soil pollution or land pollution is created. The very first part is oil spills. So oil spills is somewhere leakage of the oil. For example, think about it that the loaded containers like trucks are carrying the oil, and we some or the other time can find, your observation itself also means a lot for this, that you can find that some at or the other part there is a spilling of oil. That means oil girta hai, so that is called as oil spilling. And of course oil spilling means it is one of the hydrocarbon which is not useful for the land, right? And if this oil spilling takes place at a longer part or at particular, consider that oil spilling takes place at a single land area but at a huge amount, the land area of course will lose its complete fertility because it is an hydrocarbon, ओके। नेक्स्ट वन इज माइनिंग एक्टिविटी। सो ये हमने काफी पहले भी डिस्कस किया है कि माइनिंग एक्टिविटी की वजह से सॉइल का कंप्लीट फर्टिलिटी लॉस होता है। सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं, तो उसमें पोल्यूटेंट्स भी क्रिएट होते हैं, बिकॉज हर एक लेयर, जिसे हम लिथोस्फीयर कहते हैं, दैट इज सॉइल का हर एक लेयर एक अपने आप में डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है। और हम क्या कर रहे हैं, माइनिंग एक्टिविटी की वजह से जो हैजार्डस मटेरियल क्रस्ट के नीचे है, दबे हुए हैं, हम उसे बाहर निकालने की कोशिश करते हैं for our use, but it is not limited for our use, rather इसकी स्पिलिंग की वजह से या फिर इसकी एक्टिविटी की वजह से सब एरिया में, आसपास के एरिया में ये पोल्यूटेंट स्प्रेड आउट होता है और इस स्प्रेड आउट की वजह से कंप्लीट लैंड एरिया डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है। Then accidental spill is again something related to the oil spilling only. So you can consider like maybe oil spilling also takes place at a water level also. Okay, so इसीलिए मैंने कहा आपको कि we are going to discuss some part at this stage, some part at the later stage. Corrosion of the groundwater tanks. Now, if you have an idea about it, we usually create, that means especially the industries also, and for our development systems, that means so that the water can be conserved at a huge amount, we create the underground tanks. And these underground tanks are also having some kind of systems, like these systems of piping or transmitting. If this storage tanks, okay, maybe water tanks. So if the corrosion of water tank takes place, it is not a problem. But if the corrosion of oil tanks, let's consider, oil tanks takes place, it will be of course a problem, because land will get internally polluted, and that will be a major problem. The next one is acid rain. So acid rain we have discussed earlier also. That is one of the natural phenomenon also, if you have to keep in mind. Next one is intensive farming. Like I've said, that if you overuse a particular area, or if you overuse a particular system, maybe a soil system. So like we have discussed earlier also, if you are overusing a land area for farming, extensive farming जहाँ पे होती है, वहाँ पे थोड़े दिनों के बाद में लैंड उसकी फर्टिलिटी लूज करना शुरू कर देती है, और इसीलिए हम बाद में फर्टिलाइजर्स ऐड करते हैं. बट रादर देन इंक्लूडिंग अ फर्टिलाइजर विच इज नॉट नेचुरल, आर्टिफिशियल फर्टिलाइजर्स आप ऐड नहीं कर सकोगे, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट दैट गुड फॉर योर प्लांट एंड फॉर योर सिस्टम ऑल्सो. सो हेंस ऐड अ नेचुरल फर्टिलाइजर. बट more important is that you do not do extensive farming. That means आप एक ही फार्मिंग, एक ही टाइप की फार्मिंग बार बार नहीं करोगे अगर उस लैंड पे, तो उसकी फर्टिलिटी भी मैनेज हो सकती है. सो दैट इज वन system, that means one of the solution which can be provided. Next one is adding of agrochemical substances. Now agrochemical substances means जैसे हमने पहले ही डिस्कस किया था कि हम पेस्टिसाइड्स, हर्बिसाइड्स या फिर फर्टिलाइजर्स जो कि ह्यूमन क्रिएटेड है, इंडस्ट्रियल क्रिएटेड है, जिसमें हाइड्रोकार्बन्स होते हैं, अगर वो ऐड करते हैं तो उसे एग्रोकेमिकल कहा जाता है. इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सीडेंट, रोड डेब्रीज, ड्रेनेज कंटेमिनेशन, ये सारी काफ़ी माइन्यूट चीज़ें हैं जिसकी वजह से मोर प्रॉब्लम्स होती है सॉइल में, बिकॉज ड्रेनेज सिस्टम में काफ़ी ज़्यादा कंटेमिनेशन होता है, राइट? अगर आपको पता हो तो इट इज़ वन ऑफ द वेरी हार्मफुल सिस्टम. बेसिकली इट इज़ a system which is helpful for the human, but if it a leakage, or if this drainage system, which is very contaminated system or filled with the acid system, is leaked out in the directly on a land without any other kind of processing on it, it will cause a contamination for the land. वेस्ट डिस्पोजल, ये सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है, बिकॉज वेस्ट डिस्पोजल प्रॉपर तरीके से नहीं होता है. एंड वेस्ट डिस्पोजल का मतलब होता है मे बी ऑयल और फ्यूल का डंपिंग प्रॉपर तरीके से अगर नहीं हो तो इट इज़ वन ऑफ द काइंड ऑफ वेस्ट डिस्पोजल, इट क्रिएट्स वेस्ट डिस्पोजल. उसके बाद में न्यूक्लियर वेस्ट होता है, अगर उसका काफ़ी ज़्यादा अमाउंट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर प्रोडक्ट्स रिमेनिंग है तो हम उसे डंप कहीं पे भी कर देते हैं. देन डायरेक्ट डिस्चार्ज ऑफ इंडस्ट्रीज का होता है, दैट मीन्स इंडस्ट्रियल मटेरियल, जैसे हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था, ये डिस्चार्ज डायरेक्टली किया जाता है लैंड एरिया में, और लैंड एरिया जहाँ पे किया जाता है ये डिस्पोजल, वहाँ का कंप्लीट लैंड एरिया खत्म हो जाता है. दैट मीन्स इसका फर्टिलिटी लूज हो जाता है एंड यू कैन नॉट हार्डली ग्रो अ प्लांट ओवर देयर. नेक्स्ट वन इज सीवेज वाटर, क्या हो सकता है, या फिर डंपिंग का हो सकता है, या फिर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वेस्ट का भी हो सकता है. सो दैट इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम विच ह्यूमन आर बीइंग क्रिएटिंग राइट every time. So these are the system basically. That means we are trying to understand these systems, how these systems are causing an ill effect on the human system also, because everything is directly or indirectly interrelated. अगर आप ध्यान से देखोगे तो ये systems जो almost है like oil spills or mining activity, accidental spills, then drainage contamination, road debris, industrial accidents, agrochemical, ये सारी human created है. That means it is anthropogenic created waste material. But if you look more keenly on the point, you will find that these systems are directly, even though because of human system, that means human problem, it is causing a problem to human only. So that is a point which I am trying to tell you, that even though we find that it is an effect, that means we are creating a problem, you should always keep in mind that this problem in turn is affecting us. Okay, so in the next lecture we are going to try and understand what are the effects, like what are the effect of soil pollution on the human health or ecological health, and can we have some kind of solution to come out of these problems. Till the next lecture.